Hello, everyone. I'm Joel Denver, and on behalf of my partner Seth Ressler, we both welcome you to Radio Rendezvous for February 27th. And our special guest today is one of the smartest and most nimble executives in radio. It's iHeart Atlanta EVP Programming, Jill Strada. Radio Rendezvous is brought to you by our friends at Point to Point, Key Networks, Sun and Fun Media, Radio.Cloud, RCS, The Imaging House, and supported by our media partners at RAMP. Thank you all very much. Welcome to Radio Rendezvous, Jill. How are you today?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me, Joel. I appreciate this.
Oh, this is great. You're just an iconic programmer. You have been there, done that, and are continuing to bring it. I love that about you.
Oh,
And
thank you so much.
you're welcome, but it's the truth. Now, one of your great strengths during your career in markets like New York and Boston, Miami, Orlando, and now Atlanta is being able to amplify brands and do talent development. So that obviously requires a lot of patience and a lot of passion. So tell me how you balance those two forces.
So passion is nothing I'm short of. I just, I've loved what I've done in radio since I've started, and the passion has obviously gone in different areas, and as I've grown as a leader in the industry. But I think the balance of those two forces, passion and patience. I've learned to grow patient as I've gotten older. So, the passion is consistent. I had, a fiery impatience of probably just that young, green, hungry person coming in to want to take over the world. And I've been lucky to be able to start new brands from the ground up. And that was one of my earlier on opportunities in Orlando, Florida. And so, I just, since then did not realize the path it was going to take me. Did not realize that one startup would turn into another and another. But I've really enjoyed that path and really building something from zero to amazing. And then, I think also the brands that are established. I've worked with some incredible, amazing heritage brands throughout my career as well. And sometimes those just need that tweak and that amplification and just kind of that insurgence of the energy that may have been missing. So I think, to answer it, I mean, the passion's there. It's always going to be there. And I think the patience, it's still coming because I still sometimes am impatient. So I'm still a work in progress.
We're all a work in progress, no question about that. So this is your first time working at iHeart, and so
Mhm.
you're new to that company. So there's a whole lot of new systems and things to learn. So in your current post as iHeartMedia Atlanta EVP Programming, tell us
Mhm.
about your day-to-day duties. What does all that mean?
Sure. So a lot, I guess top of mind is strategy planning, a lot of, just strategic thought, coaching both leadership and the talent. So I am truly grateful for the amazing team that I have. I've always, throughout my career, I just surround myself with really smart people, and I find my lane. I have different. My background is like a marketing, promotion, branding background, and I apply all of that into what I bring into radio. And as I've grown as a leader throughout the 25 plus years now, I've also included that coaching element because I really love, I guess ultimately it just comes down to what we were talking about earlier, just like development, the development of brands, the development of people. So I really spent a lot of time learning what needs to happen on both ends, people and the products, and encouraging just out of the box ideas for myself as well. So a lot of my day to day is kind of thinking around those things. Of course, we have meetings. We have the, the I oversee Atlanta over completely, and then I have my great PDs there. I have incredible senior vice president of programming in my other markets. That includes Boston, Nashville. I have Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Hartford, and New Haven. And the program directors, the senior vice president of programming, they're such incredible people that, like I said, I continue to surround myself around really smart people, find ways to take them to next levels that they may not have even thought they could achieve. But that's kind of my own goal. And then doing the same with the brands. I love a little competitive market and just get in there and the biggest challenges for myself. I'm like, all right, they think we can get here, but I'm going to go here. And that started in my Bob Neal days in Orlando. I remember they're like, we just need to be, I think it was like, top five or something like that. I'm like, we're going number one. What do they mean? We went number one. So I just have that little, we're going to do it. So, but no, I have really great people, and my day to day really includes a lot of just working with them and really looking at our brand strategically and seeing how we can get better every single day.
That's good stuff. I mean, I love that passion you're bringing forward here. And one of the things you've really done well in your career is empowering creatives, and that extends to coaching execs and media talent and artists to achieve their goals and, and surpass those goals, through your
Mm.
consulting ventures of strategy group and such. Is that one of your favorite things to do?
It absolutely is. So when I was out of radio in 2021, it was the end of like maybe October 2021, and I knew exactly, I just wanted to really immerse myself in coaching and a coaching program. So I invested in myself. I am a certified coach, and one for me, I wanted to learn, self coaching tools if that's a thing, but also, took it upon myself to just learn how to help others in different ways that I have not yet done so. And I really love that. And so strategy group came about in my time off, right? It took about 3 years. Wasn't even sure if I was coming back into the industry. I honed in on the people part of it and just everything I loved. And so there was some really great years that, before getting back into radio that I invested in strategy group with leadership that I started coaching, talent on air talent. And then it kind of moved into another space where there's some artist and artist development and just it morphed into its own thing, but no, it's part of my passion. It's part of what I feel like I'm here in this industry to do. Is It's not just about the products, it is about the people, and as many people as I can help groom, grow, and do amazing things, that's a win for me.
That's excellent. So it's 2025. Radio has gone through a lot of changes, as we both know. So
Yes.
today, what's the most challenging format to run and program?
Mm. My quick answer, and I think this is the answer, is it's just top 40 radio. Top 40 radio, the first of all, the music shift that's happened. The younger audiences, I mean, obviously they're discovering music through TikTok and streaming platforms and social media, and we know all of that. But I think the real challenge has been the lack of new superstars. We have to, top 40 radio has to heavily rely on the recurrence, some of those golds to really make the format be what it is today, because there's nothing new and exciting and anything breaking out from a pop superstar class. So think about, when we were thriving in top 40 radio in the 2010s, and we had Taylor, we had Ed Sheeran, Katy Perry, Rihanna, you had
Hmm.
Bruno Mars. I mean, and then you had the hip hop pop hybrids like a Drake and a Post Malone that came about. So there was just a lot of really great opportunity in top 40 radio in those 2010s. And now, I think there's a bit of a struggle, and that music cycle, I think coming back will help some of that for this format in particular.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think music is always got some good stuff, but it just seems to be it's not a wide variety of things, and we're lacking sometimes in crossover music and such
Yeah.
as that. So it's definitely a challenging time
It
for the
is, it is. And
music.
shout out to those PDs because I know it's like there's some really breakout, top 40 stations that are doing well. But it's really just again kind of thinking outside the box, being in front of it to say, okay, what are we gonna do that now that we're here in this, with these circumstances. So there's some really great programmers out there that are doing some and trying to do some really good things. So I appreciate those guys as well.
So what keeps you up at night, Jill?
Oh man.
I bet a
So
lot.
it's funny because as you're asking me that, I'm thinking of all the things that are not work related. So now I'm like, what work related? But one of the things, it's kind of industry related though, that has kept me up lately is just knowing some of our friends in the industry over in LA that have really been going through those fires and the loss of their homes and just all of that. That just I don't that's been staying heavy on my mind lately. And so I don't know if it keeps me up at night, but and I got to stop watching the news because it's like
Yeah.
it leads into it. But those things I've been just keeping a lot of folks in my prayers. But from a business perspective, I'd say It's probably me in my head. I think sometimes if I'm up at night and I'm worried about something, it might sometimes it's on the creative side where I'm like, if I'm having some brain fog, or I'm having because you have so many meetings, and then lo and behold, you just now you want to get creative and you can't. So sometimes I'll worry about that at night. Sometimes it's a strategy thing, or I'll have a station in a particular market that trying to crack a code, or those type of things. But nothing so serious. I mean, I try to sleep good at night, Joel, so I can get started that next day. And, so no more news for me because it's really that stuff that's like I'm worried about.
There you go. So, thinking back, what worked 10 years ago that just doesn't work now on radio in terms of creating great product and delivering to those listener expectations?
Man, so 10 years ago, we're in like 2015, end of 2014 into 2015. So one for sure and this goes, in coaching on-air talent, the on-air skills alone are not enough. Before we used to have radio personalities can just get on, and that was the connection, and that emotional connection to the community. But today's successful personalities, they have to be content creators. They have to be community builders. They need to be in their communities and be seen. They have to be social influencers. So there's this, it's kind of grown over those 10 years, I'd say. It was important back then, but I think even back then, social media wasn't, it was like a side tool. I remember some, management at radio was saying, don't promote social media or some certain handles and things like that. And that's changed so much. So I think the stations that don't actively engage, I mean, they risk losing relevance, in today's age. But the core value of radio, I think, entertainment, community, the emotional connection, the companionship, all of that remains strong. And I think the key to adapting to the doing the right things is just executing strategies that include some of those things, being where the listeners are. That's going to allow our talent and our radio station brands to meet expectations of the listeners of today.
I totally agree with you on that. So, how much of a factor is AI in your day to day learning and programming, and how do your teams feel about this powerful technology?
So AI, so remember I said sometimes I'm like at night and I'm not sleeping, and sometimes it's that brain fog because the days will go and I'm like, I might write something, and it's not necessarily even radio script, sometimes is, but sometimes it's preparing for a really big meeting or whatever. I use AI personally for writer's block, and that, if I just need inspo, like I just need, so I've gotten better at that. I've learned to do that. But I think on the on-air talent, they're embracing it in ways for on our show prep. They can social media again, as we're talking about being where our listeners are. Getting creative with caption ideas, or there's AI that can help you with different videos. Just it's AI. I think it enhances the efficiency. But our biggest strength is going to be our personalities, our local connection, our authenticity. So if we use it as a tool, I think it's going to be, I think let's, balance that out and really make it something. It's like our assistant, and let's have our assistant do some work for us.
There you go. That's smart. That's smart thinking for sure. So, is radio transitioning to digital fast enough to reverse the listener trends that seem to be gravitating towards platforms like Spotify and Apple Music and Pandora, Amazon Music, SiriusXM, Tidal, and such? Can radio become a source of music discovery again?
So my answer is yes. I'm really excited about the iHeartRadio app. And I don't know if you've tried it, Joel. I don't know.
Very familiar with it.
Yeah, really. I was so excited, not just because I'm now at iHeart. I'm seriously just going into the app. What made me excited was it's the old school radio dial. It's like it's so relatable. So, I can go and lock in a preset, or I have I can scan stations if I want. And I can scan stations. It doesn't just have to be as if you're in the car scanning what's on the dial here in your local town. You can, there's vast ways and filters to, just look at what you're trying to listen to. You can look for that. There is the radio dial. I'm always a lyric chick, so now that we we can like look in lyrics on the iHeart app, and of course like what's trending. Just again, when we're talking about being where our listeners are, and what matters to them, I mean, there's a lot of that in this app, and so it's recently rolled out, so it's super top of mind for me, and I've been actively using it daily and really love it. So yeah, I do think that. I think we're trying, I think this is a really good indication of the direction of where we're going specifically here, here at iHeart. And I'm excited about the future.
That's great. I love that. So, name for me some of your favorite up and coming artists and bands. Always curious about that.
Oh my goodness. I know this is the part where I'm like, when you're saying, what are you spending the most time on? It's less of this, but there
Yeah.
is someone, I know I'm gonna have a lot of brain farts, but I remember one, Lola Young out of the UK. I started watching, some of her stuff on TikTok and all that. I was just getting excited about even just, seeing a fresh new face, a fresh new artist. So have been listening to her recently. That's the top of mind one because that's super recent. But sometimes in with fair I guess I'll listen to new music. Sometimes I will go on platforms. I'll go on Spotify, listen to New Music Fridays, or I'll just listen to what's coming out when I'm getting sent from labels just to hear their baby acts. That's the baby bands and the newer acts. I love the support that we can give to those folks in radio. It's become a lot few and far between, but I'd love to think, and I think I've done this through my actions in my different markets. We've created some form of showcase for them, or whether it's on air, whether we did some, an event showcase or whatever, just to highlight these artists. And so it is dear to me because I feel like, what we did back in the day, we were known for new music discovery, and I think that's still something that we're able to do, and we just got to find ways in this new time in 2025 how we're going to accomplish that. But I love to support my baby acts.
Yeah, I'd love to see radio become a force in that area again, too, of helping to discover and break new artists and bands and such.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's one of the things when I was programming, I love to do is like find something new and put it out there and be right and have it
Right.
explode. That was fun, you know.
I mean, you look back at all the things that we've done in our time, and you're thinking, man, I remember when that baby act was a baby act, and now it's a big act, and now it's like
Exactly.
there's still, I don't know, there's that pride, and that might be corny, but it's like you're still like, man, I was part of that journey, and I just love that. I love that, and I love continuing that for those new artists when they come in the office and they have that anticipation, and they're sitting in front of you, or you're listening to music, and just meeting them for the first time. And I usually will always say, just remember this time and just enjoy that journey. I always, with best of luck to them. But yeah, that's something, definitely something I love and support.
Excellent, excellent. So, who are some of your favorite radio personalities and what makes them special?
Oh man, radio personalities. I have so many. I mean, there's so many that I've worked with that I admire. So many new talent that's on the come up that I'm really excited about. I guess the if I think my quick top ahead would be like Angie Martinez is my first. Her authenticity, her
Yeah.
artist interviews, her hip hop storytelling. That's Angie, and I've always admired her from when I was young, not even in the radio game that strong, but really admired her. Who can't admire Howard Stern? I mean, he had that super loyal fan base that I just, as a marketer and brand, brand marketer, just always in awe of what he was able to do, and how his interviews were the must listen to content. And he was trending before trending was trending, and those type of things. And I think when I was younger, I listened to Casey Kasem, and I just remember he said, "Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars," or something like that. And I just, those little quick things. It's like it's such cornball stuff, but I remember that. And I got to shout out Tom Joyner. He's another one that comes to mind. And just being the fly jock, how he took his brand and did that a little differently by going market to market, and really working his ass off. But he blended music, humor, and social activism in the urban marketplace. So I just like I can go on and on and on because that's just some of the ones that are from before. There's some really great talent out there now that are really doing some good things, and I believe in the growth of talent. I think that is ultimately what is going to make radio stations relevant to their listeners, and we can all play the same music. It's what's in between the music and how you're going to make it a little different. And those, like I said, it's always about the team. Bring in the right people, and you're gonna succeed and soar.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're 100% right. I got one final question for you.
Sure.
So, what are your thoughts on Nielsen and this new 3 minute rule?
Oh, I'm so excited about this because look, I mean, so I was talking to my staff in Atlanta. We had a meeting recently, and I said, we had to get 5 minutes of listening. Now it's down to 3 minutes of listening. Hey, that's a win across the board. So
Yeah.
the stations that'll win, if you weren't if you weren't getting that time spent, if you've had a five upwards to that 5 minutes, then you're probably not going to benefit as much as the stations who aren't. So I think for me, I always like to see a bit of a trend. I want to see how this all plays out. So, now we should be doing good radio. Again, this just like across the board. Like maybe there's minor tweaks that you may want to consider from, your programming strategies. But I think if you're doing really good radio and staying on top of your brands, when this strategy comes in, let's see how it levels the playing field, and then my stations, we're going to go out there and kick some ass. So that's
There you go.
that's
I
that's the plan. I'm excited.
I hope all boats rise from this move. I'm very positive feeling about it myself. So
Same,
we'll see
same.
how it all works out. So, and that is a wrap. Thanks to our guest, iHeartMedia Atlanta EVP Programming Jill Strada, for her time and great thoughts about radio and its future. I hope that you can join us for our next Radio Rendezvous.